Resident Evil Village is a game that needs to be re-evaluated and elaborated on in a remade retrospective that has better quality to the commentary, additional features to the video, new insights and context gained from Resident Evil 4 Remake that have affected my views on certain parts of Resident Evil Village, additional time devoted to parts that I didn't elaborate on in the first retrospective, an updated understanding with regards to certain lore details like with the BSAA's corruption, and some corrections to points I made in the first retrospective. While Resident Evil Village may have a lot of confusing storytelling moments, this is a game that's incredibly fun and far better than I gave it credit for initially. For those that don't know, Resident Evil Village was the very first game I ever did a retrospective for, and the learning curve definitely showed, as certain parts of the retrospective reflected my inexperience, resulting in a few low-quality elements like with the slow pace of the commentary, the lack of complex editing, a very monotone voice on my part that was present for a lot of the retrospective, and other things that kind of detracted from the points I was trying to address. Also, I didn't quite grasp the proper structuring to the retrospective, which was something that I definitely rectified a bit with my Shadows of Rose DLC retrospective, and then further improved massively with my Resident Evil 4 Remake retrospective. Creating that retrospective, which was about 17 hours long, provided me with the right amount of editing experience and technical knowledge, and it's a retrospective that I'm very proud to show on my channel. However, because of this massive undertaking with that retrospective, as well as with YouTuber Lasers remaking his Assassin's Creed 2 retrospective, the nagging sensation of updating my Resident Evil Village retrospective was gradually prodding at me. And while I was previously going to do a Resident Evil 2 Remake retrospective, the desire to do so changed after I replayed Resident Evil 2 OG after a very long time and found many issues with the game. Talking about both Resident Evil 2 OG and Resident Evil 2 Remake from a story, characters, and gameplay context, in as detailed a manner to what I did in my Resident Evil 4 Remake retrospective with talking about both Resident Evil 4 OG, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and other relevant Resident Evil media felt a lot more difficult to me when I played it out in my head. And that's not even mentioning the 4 scenario design, the additional lore in the supplementary material, and the confusion regarding certain canon moments. This analysis paralysis led me to feel that a Resident Evil 2 Remake retrospective would take far longer to do and be more complicated than my Resident Evil 4 Remake retrospective. So because of this, and also due to Resident Evil Requiem being announced, which would likely use lore points from Resident Evil 7 and Village, I decided to instead remake my Resident Evil Village retrospective. And it feels like the right time given that Resident Evil Village will be 5 years old in 2026. So like I did previously, I will guide you from start to finish and go into a lot of detail regarding the story, characters, gameplay, screenplay, and writing, and not just the main game, but also with the Shadows of Rose DLC. I'll also talk about any other relevant Resident Evil media when possible. With all that said, let's get into this much needed remake of my first retrospective.